Godzilla was directed by Gareth Edwards, who prior to this film was only known for directing Monsters, which if you have not seen it, I recommend it. It's a pretty good sci-fi independent film. And also went on to direct Rogue One, a Star Wars story, which I'm alright with. But anyways, the film stars Aaron Taylor-Johnson, Ken Watanabe, Elizabeth Olsen, Sally Hawkins, and Bryan Cranston, and is the first installment into Legendry's Mosterverse. Each week I'm going to be reviewing one film from the Mosterverse leading up to Godzilla vs. Kong this month on the 25th. But just to give a little heads up to everybody, this video is going to contain spoilers about the video, and I've mentioned before about what I'm going to do with spoilers and non-spoiler reviews, and I'm not going to go through all that again. But yeah, I thought I'd just give everybody a heads up, so if you have not seen the movie, then this is just your warning. And also, this is probably going to be one of my longer films, because I rarely do spoiler reviews, but I just thought for this occasion, I just thought I'd just go with it. So in this reboot, a soldier is trying his best to get back to his family while the world is in terror as these two parasitic creatures called Mutos cause great destruction and try to repopulate the world, while an alpha predator called Godzilla returns in an epic battle against the Mutos trying to restore balance. I mentioned this briefly in other videos and even done some teases here and there, but I've never gone through it thoroughly though, but I am a massive Godzilla fan. The first time I actually remember watching him was renting a VHS copy of Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla at your local Hollywood video store. Yes, that is where I fell in love with the character, and yes, I was shopping during that time when Hollywood Videos and Blockbuster were still around. I may look young, people, but I'm not that young. But whether if he's just a good guy or bad guy, it didn't matter. You just love the character Godzilla, and he's just this iconic Japanese monster that's been in over, I don't even know how many films. He's pretty much up there with James Bond. I can just tell you that in terms of how many films he's been in. And I have seen majority of the films made from Japan, collected the toys, and even have the poster. And yeah, that's just how much I just love this franchise. And this is America's second attempt at trying to reboot the beloved franchise monster, even after the horrible 1998 version which came out. And we don't talk about that one. Except maybe me. Because I might have to review this film one day. That's gonna be fun. But the fact that it's been many years later, and then now that they came back with a reboot and they're starting to do things right, I was both excited yet scared at the same time, especially after the 1998 gave us a bad taste in our mouth because of that. But then later we started getting the first teaser trailer and getting glimpses on how they were going to treat the iconic kaiju monster, to the point where it just became my most anticipated film of 2014. And in some ways, it did deliver. Godzilla 2014 was actually a pretty good movie, and I'm just saying that I'm kind of satisfied, not completely. There's a lot of things in this film that I would like to talk about, but we're just gonna get to it. What did they get right first about this film? Godzilla. Thank God. Because all I just wanted was a Godzilla that looked like Godzilla, and they did it. They were finally able to pull off a design that respects both the mythology and the fans. He's a prehistoric dinosaur, he breathes fire, and he's indestructible. The thing you gotta be patient about is that Godzilla doesn't really show up in the film within the first 20 to 30 minutes, but that's fine, because that's what the original 1954 film did. And they really took a lot of inspiration from the 1954 film, where we don't really see the monster at first, but we get a lot of teases little bit by bit, and seeing like spikes come out of the water, his tail going past the building, or water entering the airport. We can really feel his presence, and it's such a great build-up leading up to it. And when we finally get to the big reveal, he looks like Godzilla, he acts like Godzilla, this is Godzilla. Even also, we get new monsters and the villains, which are called Mutos, massive unidentified terrestrial organism. I'm fine with the name, and I really don't have a problem with it, because it's not one of Godzilla's most famous monsters. Well, technically, it's a new monster, so I can't really criticize about it. I just see what I see in the film, and for what it is, it works. I mean, it's not to be, we're not here to be in awe inspired by the villain monster. We're just here to just see Godzilla kick his ass, and that's what the whole point is. It's to put Godzilla over. So I'm just fine with that. And the Muto monster, which there's both a male and a female. The male has wings, which I thought it was pretty cool. They kind of separated between the sexes and what their special features were to have, and the fact that they're able to cause blackouts like electromagnetic pulses through just by slamming into the ground. So I thought that was a pretty good usage, but regardless of that, it's not my favorite kaiju monster for Godzilla to face, but for the first film, I'll just give this an exception. And yes, I'm actually completely aware of the criticism that fans have against this film. I've even have some criticism towards this film, but right now I just want to talk about the positive things first, and then I'll just lead to the stuff with it when it comes to the negative. But anyways, regardless of all that, the other thing that I can actually say something positive about this film is not, well, it's kind of positive in a way, but it's the human characters that they put in this film. I know in the Godzilla film we never give a damn about the human characters. We just see giant monsters fight and that's all we care about. But in this film, they try to do it differently that I have not seen since the first 1954 film, and that is actually they try to make a film where we actually give a damn about these human characters. And it's not perfect. It's not like flawless. It's there are some iffy things about it, but it's decent nonetheless. The best actor I can say in the entire film would obviously have to be Bryan Cranston, because well, then again, it's Bryan Cranston. And in this film, he plays a man who's lost a lot after losing his wife because of the encounter he had with the Mutos years prior, and he's on this quest into find the conspiracy and what is behind all this. But yet, it's kind of sad in the film because he gets killed off within the first act, and yet you have your best actor that we like, and we actually care for in a way, and then you just cut him off. I know he had his arc in the film. He find out what caused the death of his wife. He knows about the Mutos. He knows about the conspiracy. He was right this whole entire time. But it just gets me upset because when I was watching the film, or not just the film, excuse me, in the trailers, majority of the time, if you look at the trailers, Bryan Cranston is featured heavily a lot in it, and they make it sound like he's the main character and that we're going to see a lot of him, and yet he doesn't even show up like. Ugh. Sorry. I know. It's just that for years I've been very upset because you had your best actor in the film and they just cut him off within the first act. That was just one of my biggest upsets that I had in the film because I was excited to see Bryan Cranston and Godzilla within the film together, and the fact that he was coming off fresh off of Breaking Bad and they didn't take that to advantage. So the rest of the other human characters, they're alright. I mean, they're nothing really special. Their acting is actually good for what they're given, but we're not actually at that point where we're so attached to these characters, besides Bryan Cranston, to the point where it's like, yeah, I actually like this character. I want to go on a journey with you and go on this adventure because I care about you so much. No, it's not really like that at all. But like I said, the word I can really say for it is decent. And for a Godzilla film, we don't really get those a lot. So I like to at least praise at the fact that they try to put in the effort of us caring about these characters in a way. And the fact that this is probably the most serious Godzilla film, or not just a Godzilla film, this is the most serious film in the entire Monsterverse because the rest of the other films are filled with comedy and a little bit of slapstick, while this one takes itself pretty seriously. There's like no jokes in here at all, so it really does stick out from that. The last thing I can really say that I like about this film is the cinematography and the usage, how they try to emphasize the size structures of these monsters. Basically, what I'm saying is that these monsters feel like that they are huge and that they are intimidating. If you pay really close attention, most of the shots in the film are from a human's point of view, or sometimes even in the battle sequences, we get a lot of views like the camera is being shot through the window of a building next to the monsters, or flown above it like a helicopter's perspective. And Gareth Edwards' choice on that really does make a huge impact. It makes us feel how we're so tiny and inferior to these creatures. And yes, now we finally cut to the negative stuff about this movie, and I think I know what a lot of you people will be saying because of the fact that this is called the Godzilla movie, and yet Godzilla is barely in this movie at all. I mean, it's not like the Tom and Jerry one where I reviewed it, where it says like that, oh, Tom and Jerry's in this film, but yet he's not in this film. This one feels like Godzilla is not even in the film more than that. For years, people have criticized how there's not a lot of showing in Godzilla, and when we do get to the fight or to the big reveals, it cuts to a kid napping, or we see the doors closing, and the action is just right about to begin, and everyone's just like going like, oh, damn it. There's like a bunch of teases in it, but yet we don't actually see the fight, and when we do, it's usually like the aftermath of people skydiving above the city, and we're just getting glimpses of them fighting together. In my reaction, I can actually say is like when Ken Watanabe is like saying, let them fight, and then they're about to fight, and then the closed doors, you're like, why? So don't think I'm gonna be one of those critics where I'm gonna praise the heck out of this movie, because even though Rotten Tomatoes gave it more positive than negative, even though fans hated the part that there was not a lot of monster sequences, but yes, I am with the fans on this one. There wasn't enough Godzilla, and I wish that they had just showed more, but that's just one of the biggest, or not just the biggest, that actually is the biggest complaint I can say about this film. But when we actually do see the fighting sequences, they're pretty good, and the special effects are on par, and that's just the best part that we came here for. And when we do get to see Godzilla versus Muto, they're actually pretty good. Like watching Godzilla slam the male Muto into the building, or using his atomic breath to blast into the female's Muto mouth, that was just awesome. But yeah, that's just what we wish we could have just seen just a little bit more when it came to the first film. And the last thing I can really complain about this film is just that it's just too dark. And I don't mean like dark like it's menacing and it's very gory and it's very like it's very depressing and sad. No, it's not like that. I just mean, when I mean it's dark, it's just too damn dark. Like, the brightness is so low in the movie. Like, one time I was watching it show on TNT, and if you watch the movie with the lights on in your room, you're not going to see anything. And for some odd reason, that's just how it is. But I don't know why it works well in the Blu-ray disc, but yet it doesn't work well on your standard TV, because our TV was just fine. But for some odd reason, the way that they broadcast it, and I've seen it even on our phones, the film is just so dark. You just can't see the outlines of the characters. You can't see the Godzilla. You can't see Muto. You can't see anybody's. But that's just my complaint I can really say about that. But regardless of that, I like Godzilla. I didn't think it was a perfect movie. I don't think it's anywhere near as close as the 1954 film. But, I mean, in some ways, like I said, I was satisfied. I just wish I could have had more. But I'll just say this. For what it is, I'll appreciate it. And lots of words here. But it's just good direction, good cinematography. And, yeah. I'm sorry, I'm just going to get to the final score. For the final score, I'm going to give Godzilla a 7 out of 10. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Look forward to my next Monsterverse movie review, where I will be talking about Kong Skull Island, and that will be premiering next week. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe here to the channel for more content. And until then, I'll see you in the next video.